Hi guys. So this is the first webisode of Mom Needs Wine Too. The concept of this whole thing, my whole journey, is to kind of talk to you guys like my friends. Some of you are my friends, and some of you are my family members. Some of you I've never met before. I just kind of wanted this to be an outlet to talk about anxiety, depression, weight gain, weight loss. PTSD, being a spouse of somebody who suffers from PTSD, having kids. That's a whole nother world. But I just wanted this to be my outlet, my truth. It's a great therapy session for myself. So I decided, why not reach out and see if this could help, inspire or motivate someone to take that step to talk to someone, or you know if you have any suggestions or comments or questions that you'd like me to address while I'm doing this whole series, I'd be glad to answer and ask any of the questions that you guys have of me. I just kind of wanted to take you through my own truth, my own journey, and hopefully, like I said, it could help someone out there. A little bit about me. I am a mom of two. I am married. My husband served 3 tours at war. We met in basic training. We didn't start dating until far after that, but I had known him since I was in the Army. I'm just a regular mom. I work and pick my kids up from school and take them to school. We do homework, just regular stuff. But, life happens and you gotta take care of yourself, whether you're a mom or a dad or just an individual trying to make it, singly, with a dog. You have to learn how to take some time for yourself. So this is my way of taking some time for myself while helping others. And I hope you guys enjoy and appreciate me laying my heart out there, because this is hard. I wrestled with this idea for a really long time, and I wasn't quite sure how it was going to be perceived, but here it goes. And just want to make a disclaimer, I'm not here to judge, so please don't judge me, don't judge other people that are making comments below. Please don't start drama, because this is a drama-free zone. It's a safe zone. And just live with aloha. I don't need any drama. I'm sure anyone else on here who's just trying to express their feelings doesn't need drama either. So like I said, this is a no judgment, free, safe zone. So like I said, if you have any questions or concerns or anything you want me to talk about, go ahead and comment below, like they do on YouTube. Comment below. Anyway, so I think we're gonna start talking about depression, and then I guess we can go into anxiety, because that's kind of how my path went. Yours may be different, but my depression, I believe, started when I was about 15 years old. At the age of 15, my biological father passed away. My biological father was not in my life. For whatever reason, he decided that it was better off for him to be in and out. And for him, that may have worked. For me, it didn't work, and it affected me. It scarred me beyond measure. But at 15, I don't really remember anyone ever talking about anxiety, depression. I never saw my mom or parents go through any anxiety, depression, so it was not recognizable. I wasn't able to just identify and say, there it is, I'm suffering from depression because I'm feeling unloved. Granted, I have 2 really great parents. I have a stepdad who married my mom when I was 8. So theoretically, I kind of felt like I had no reason to say I was sad, because I have this great man who stepped into my life, and he is taking care of me better than anybody ever could. And he's my dad. He's all I know. And to this day, that's my dad. But deep down in my soul, I had this gnawing thing that was just saying, you know what? You feel unloved. You feel like you don't understand why this person couldn't love you. And when he passed away, it was just like, now I don't have any answers. He's the only one who can answer anything that I could ever ask. So it was really hard for me, and I think it's still hard for me to this day. I'm able to discuss it more because throughout my years of growing up, I've discussed it with friends and my husband and my parents. So now it's easy for me to say how I'm feeling. Before, I would just burst into tears. So, that's that. But so at 15, I was going through that, and I kind of just buried it deep down, moved on with my life. I think right after I had went to the Army, I registered for college, and that's when I started drinking heavily and partying, and I still felt this gnawing thing in the back of my being that's like, you gotta address the situation. You gotta go talk to someone about how you're feeling. And it wasn't me searching for the answer. It was just the devastation of knowing, you know what, this man is dead, and no one's ever going to be able to answer why he left you, why he didn't want you, why he didn't look for you, and why he just chose not to be a part of your life at one point. So I just kind of swallowed it and dealt with it. So, and I think my way of dealing with it was partying. Like, who doesn't like to party? Who doesn't like to drink? But it became very, very excessive. In college, I did start taking Adderall. And that was to combat the partying, so I could focus in school. And that's a no-no. I didn't know it then, but I got in way too deep, and I got to the point where I needed to take it all the time. And scary thought now as a mother, thinking maybe my kids one day may experiment with that kind of lifestyle, and it scares me. But my kids and I now have, and we've always had a very open relationship, and I don't candy coat things for them, and I don't hide things from them. So, when they get to the age where we discuss that kind of stuff, I'm going to be very open with them about my truth and about what I went through in college and alongside with depression. But moving on. So I was drinking, partying, I was taking Adderall, things spun out of control. My relationships with people became very toxic, and it wasn't them being toxic towards me, it was me being toxic towards them. I would do things out of spite to hurt people's feelings. I would just be nasty and be a liar, and it was my way of coping, and it was the horrible way of coping, because anyone who knows me knows that, I'm not that kind of person. I'm not a nasty person. I'm not a liar. I'm not anything like that. I just wanted to be and feel something other than what I was. And it wasn't the answer. And I lost friends. I lost relationships. My best friend, who's my cousin, she stopped talking to me for a long time. We have a great relationship now, but back then, I hurt her pretty bad just because I was being such an ugly person. And that's something that I'm going to have to live with for the rest of my life. But because I got back to Carlina, my cousin forgave me, and I'm so thankful for that. But it was horrible. I was just going down a really, really bad path. And honestly, I could have ended up dead. I should have been dead, to be honest. I was playing with fire, and I wasn't afraid. And at that point, I really felt like, I don't care either way. I don't care about anything. No one cares about me. And I feel like if I would have addressed my father's situation a lot sooner, I probably wouldn't have burnt so many bridges with people. But, everything happens for a reason, and I believe that had to teach me some kind of lesson for me to move forward in life. So after I kind of just woke up one day and was like, Carlina, what are you doing? Like, who is this person? You know, who is this partier, this monster? Who is this person? I decided, you know what? Like, this is not who I'm gonna be. This is not. So I just made that mental imprint in my brain, like, this is not right, and I'm gonna change. So, and I did. Um, I reconnected with my now husband, and we had a baby boy, and that was my first joy and pain. My son saved my life, and I think if I hadn't had my son when I did, I probably wouldn't have grown up. Um, People say that when you have a child, you know, your whole life changes, and it's the truth. I had my son, and I was like, oh, this is what it's all about. He's my everything. I want the world for him, so I have to be right. And I'm not perfect, but I feel like I'm raising my son to be the best person that he can be in this crazy world that we live in. But at the same time, I suffer from postpartum depression. And that was the very first time that I had to take any kind of medicine for depression, because I was like balling out of control. I was angry, and then I was happy, and then I was crying. So, you know, I went to the doctor and said, hey, you know, something's wrong. And she's like, it's normal. Women have it. Here is a prescription for sertraline. Now, I took sertraline for 7 years. I had a baby girl about 18 months after I had my son, and so I stopped taking sertraline while I was pregnant, but I had to immediately go back on it because I had postpartum depression from my baby girl. In between having my daughter and my son, we miscarried. After having my daughter, we miscarried again. So having the postpartum depression and miscarrying does something to you unimaginable. And I don't know if anybody out there who's ever had to go through what I'm describing can feel the same way, but for me personally, it just did something to the way that I think, my emotions. I became more emotional. Those of you that do know me, I wasn't really an emotional person growing up. I will let you know that I love you, and I will let you feel that I love you, but I never really kind of discussed my feelings. I just never really saw the need to do that. So I just felt like you should know that I love you, and that's it. Or you should know that I'm sad. Like, people are mind readers, right? They're not. So, yeah, I went through this roller coaster of ups and downs, and it was the worst. We had a really rough time in between the miscarriages and me going through postpartum. I went back to work really early after having my daughter, and I felt guilty about that. So there was just a lot of emotional combinations of things that were going on in my life that contributed to this snowball effect of depression. After we had my daughter, we miscarried, and I felt like I was dealing. I felt like the sertraline was kind of doing its job, but I forgot about me. I forgot to have an outlet and talk about my feelings. So those of you who have kids, again, even dogs, you know, like, you kind of lose yourself in being a mommy or a daddy. You are all of a sudden like a bellboy. And you're at the beck and call of your children, especially if you have small kids. And it's like, Mommy, I need this. Mommy, I want juice. Mommy, I need milk. Mommy, change my diaper. Mommy, this. Mommy, that. And I just felt like, oh my gosh, when am I going to have time for myself? And that was a constant thought in my head. And then it slowly went away. And I just slowly became a background figure to my family. My husband does suffer from PTSD, and he has been to 3 wars. Injured, I believe, all 3 times he's been to war. I know 2 for sure, but the third one I'm not quite sure of. But If you are a spouse of someone who goes to war, it's a different monster and entity in itself, and no one really understands unless you're actually going through it yourself. And I've been there for my husband with nightmares, and I mean living nightmares, not only just nightmares that wake you up in the middle of the night. Just things happen and it makes you have a flashback. And so I was dealing with that as well, and I just felt like, and the kind of person that I am, I feel like that comes first. My husband comes first, my kids come first, and I kind of just lost everything. My depression sat on a back burner. I stuffed my face with sertraline, and I thought that that was the answer. And when we came out of the fog, I still had the depression, and I had a sertraline addiction. We later on moved to Maui, then moved to back to Washington, then moved to Maui again, and here we are. We're back in Maui, and this is where we intend on staying for quite some time. But our second trip back to Maui, I decided I'm in paradise. I'm going to just become one with nature, and I'm going to not take this sertraline anymore. This is not what I want. This is not who I want to be. I want to be able to go and just swim if I'm having a bad day, or paddleboard if I'm having a bad day, get in a canoe, or go walk on the beach. Whatever. I wanted to be able to do that and not depend on a pill. And for those of you who do take sertraline or anything that's helping with anxiety and depression, no judgment. It just stopped working for me, and I had to make a change for myself. But if it works for you, great, I'm glad. No judgment on sertraline whatsoever, or whatever it is that you do take. Just for me personally, it stopped working, and the only option was to up the dose, and then what? Keep upping and upping and upping, or change to something else. So my doctor decided to change me to something else, but I already had it in my brain, like, I'm not going to take this medicine. I'm going to get off sertraline. And that was the worst psychosis episode for about 10 days that I went through. I had withdrawals. My body was like achy, and I couldn't move. I was in the fetal position for days. My mood would switch with a drop of a hat. One moment would be crying, and the next minute you're like the devil and I hate you. And I was having vertigo, and I was also seeing things move in like slow motion. It was trippy. So I got on the internet. I'm like, there's got to be a solution for this. And I listened to so many stories, and I'm like, I got to just do this for myself. I cannot take someone else's, what may have worked for them might not work for me, in other words. So I went to a Long's drugstore. I got a natural supplement to help me with the vertigo and the weird motion that I was going through. Couldn't see straight, couldn't drive. And that actually did help me. And I decided to take nothing else. And I prayed a lot. And for those of you who are not religious, no judgment, I just prayed. And 10 days later, I woke up, no vertigo, no swishy feeling in the slow motion moving in the eyes. I had a good attitude. I felt good. The sun felt good on my skin. And I was proud of myself because I went through that. And I could have avoided by just getting on this other medication, but I just realized, like, this is not what I want to be on. So I'm no longer on any kind of anti-anxiety, depression medication, although I should be, and we'll get into that later. But I'm no longer on anything, and I'm using other outlets to help me. And now, kind of fast forward, I have gotten really sick, and it has nothing to do with having anxiety or depression, but the anxiety part and the depression part kind of added to my sickness that I have now. So I had surgery about 2 weeks ago, maybe 3 weeks ago, for something that occurred, and I won't get into it, but it had me down for a little bit, and I had been suffering with it for months, and going to the emergency room and being told that I had the flu, and you have a inflamed gallbladder, this, that, and the other. So come to find out, it was something else totally different, and I had to have a surgery. And now I'm looking at having to have another surgery, and a major surgery. I may, yeah. So with all of this going on now, my anxiety level is at like 10,000. If you live in Hawaii, you know Hawaii is very expensive, and to have to put all of the finances on one person is crazy. But for me, it gives me anxiety because I know that my husband suffers from PTSD. I know that I'm going to do anything in my power not to overly stress him out. So with this surgery and with this upcoming surgery that I have to have, it's put a lot of pressure on my husband, but you know, he's completely stepped up, and like a husband should do, and made it so that I don't have to really worry about finances. Like, he's kind of just taking care of everything, and when I'm ready to get up and do what I gotta do, once all of this is said and done, then I'll, you know, get right back on the horse. But my anxiety kind of sparked up again about a month ago, maybe even 2 months ago. And it started with I was dead asleep, and I woke up in the middle of the night dead asleep, and I was holding my chest. And I thought, oh my God, I'm having a heart attack, because my chest was hurting so bad. And those of you that suffer with anxiety know that anxiety attacks can mimic heart attacks. And I had not had an anxiety attack in a long time. So it was like, oh my God, I'm dying. I'm having a heart attack. We went to the hospital. They did the EKG, and they said, you know what, your heart's fine. Maybe you're having anxiety, or you're stressed out about anything. And I'm like, well, yeah, I've been sick, and no one can seem to find the answer as to what's going on with me. So after that day, it was like anxiety attack every single day for like a month straight. And I would go into work just so tense and heart beating so fast, and I couldn't function, but I functioned. That's the thing about me, and maybe a lot of you. I am able to function under high amounts of stress, and most of the time people don't really know that I'm stressed out because I don't really show it on my face. But on the inside, I'm dying. And I was dying, like, at work. And I was working for the police department as an emergency dispatcher trainee, and I was, started to take calls, and hearing the level of calls and the stressful amount of calls that would come in, for me, I'm like, yeah, let's help these people. But the anxiety ridden me was like, how am I going to help these people when I can't even help myself? And that was a huge realization for me. And I think that's what added to my stress and my anxiety and my sleepless nights. Besides the pain that I was going through with me being sick, was how am I going to help someone if I cannot even help myself? And that's hard. It's a hard question to answer, and I didn't have the answer to it. So I just kept pushing myself until I was at work and they had to call the ambulance to come and get me because I was in so much pain, not dealing with my own self, that finally my body just said, nope, I'll take it from here now since you're not going to do your job. So I guess my point is this: anxiety comes in all forms, all shapes, all sizes. My anxiety the battle for me is still not over. I have been prescribed medication. Have I picked it up from the pharmacy? No, I have not. And I will, and then I'll stare at the bottle, and I'll make that decision whether or not that's the route that I want to go, or if I should start to meditate, or pray more, or whatever the case may be. I'm gonna find out my truth, and that is the point of this whole thing that I'm doing. Mom needs wine too. It's like mom needs a break too, and I don't mean only wine to drink. I mean wine to cry to. We need that outlet to be able to say, oh my God, you're going through this, I'm going through this too, let's go through it together. So as I get into each webisode, or I don't even know what these things are called, but as we get into this, I will discuss more about my anxiety. I'll answer any questions or ask questions that you want me to ask, and maybe, you guys could all talk to each other, get answers, get support, get help. And I'll go through my depression. I'll go through my weight gain. I mean, when I had my daughter, I gained 80 pounds, and that's 80 pounds from 130. People, hello. I gained a lot of weight. And for me, that gave me anxiety in itself, because I had always been like a slim, athletic person. But I'm so comfortable in my skin now that I could talk to you guys about my issues. I mean, I still have freaking acne, for crying out loud. I'm 32 years old. Come on. But life's about learning, and I feel like if I can be comfortable in my shell and learn to be comfortable in my shell, that I want to be able to help you be comfortable in your shell. And I just want to be there for all of you, and hopefully you can be there for me, and we can go through this anxiety, depression, weight gain, weight loss, PTSD, all in a nutshell, this crazy, crazy thing we call life together. And with everything going on in the world, that doesn't help. So anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed part of my story. We're gonna get some more episodes rolling, and we're gonna hopefully get some more interactions with you guys, and be able to kind of launch this thing and see what happens, see where it goes and where it takes us. So I appreciate all of you for tuning in. This is my wine, and the wine of the week is from Flip Flop Wines, and it's a Cabernet Sauvignon. And it reminds me of summer, and I live in Hawaii, but it is raining and windy right now, so wine always reminds me of summer, but this wine in particular. And I got my little cute skull glass going on. I love skulls. So I just want to say cheers, and here's to your truth and mine. Take care.